Book 64 of 2019 was Finding My Virginity by Richard Branson. So this autobiography is Richard Branson's life over the past kind of 20 years. And when I was reading it, I kind of found myself, well, listening to it on audio, I kind of found myself like so in awe of his life and how he's done so much and benefited kind of so many people. He's like the embodiment of entrepreneurship in the sense of he literally kind of looks for things in his environment that's like a problem and tries to come up with a solution for it. And if that solution works, he continues with that. And if it doesn't, he gives it up and he puts it, the money into something else. So he's constantly kind of like reflecting, thinking, right, is this working? Is it not? If it's not working, put it into something else. And I think sometimes when people are in business, they seem to think that if like a business fails, that's it, that they're a failure and they're not a very good entrepreneur. But actually, being an entrepreneur is understanding when it's failing and to, take the energy out of that and put it into something else and to continue growing like that. Like things will fail, things will not work, and you've got to respond to that and kind of, readapt and readjust. So I thought he was quite a good illustration of that. It's funny as well how he is so adventurous, like all the things that he's been involved in, like, flying from strings on helicopters and, sailing across, I think it was the Channel or something. Was kind of like loads of different things that he's been involved in. Like, was he climbing up some mountain? It's quite a long time ago now since I listened to it because I'm behind on these reviews. But yeah, he was just literally like, imagine like someone who's into adventure, like Bear Grylls or whatever. He's kind of like, he likes that adventure kind of lifestyle. Perhaps not as extreme as Bear Grylls, but he likes being out there doing things that he's never done before. And he's so competitive and wants to kind of like smash Guinness World Records. So I think like him and his family hold Guinness World Records and things. So that was really nice to see that kind of side of his personality. Obviously, I'm kind of a little bit reserved in believing everything that he's presented because obviously he's writing it himself and it's his perception of what he is, I guess. And I kind of picked up on that when he was talking about like politics, but not overtly. He was doing it kind of like alluding to it. So for example, he mentioned the time when he met Donald Trump and how Donald Trump was, not a nice person in the way that he was, talking about other people and things, and how he's quite like not all there because he basically like wrote Richard Branson off, but then when Richard Branson kind of was getting attention in the media and Trump was running for a presidential campaign and needed backing, he kind of then wrote him a letter and was really nice to him, like, and it was just like, have you forgotten what you were like before with him? Like, so he kind of presented him in a poor light, which I don't think Trump would be very appreciative of. And then he also mentioned when Jeremy Corbyn had posted something about being on a Virgin train and not being able to find a seat, Richard Branson was kind of defending it, saying that actually, like, that was the only carriage that was full and that there were other carriages that were free, and that actually Corbyn sat down for a lot of his journey. He only was lying down on the floor, like, for a portion of it. So he was kind of almost like, defending that, but presenting it in a way that Corbyn was a bit of a charlatan. So, which, it makes sense that he would do that because Corbyn's all about nationalisation of the railway, and that would put Branson out of business. Branson's very much, wanting his business to kind of be prosperous, and so he's very much aligned with conservative ideals, and he's done it in such a clever way in this book that you wouldn't pick up necessarily on the fact that he wants to make it out like he's against Labour by putting Corbyn down. So I kind of thought that was a bit of an underhand tactic from him, but maybe I'm just looking too much into that. What I kind of really liked about Branson is that he's kind of a visionary, in the way that kind of Steve Jobs kind of revolutionised computing in the terms of how it looks and its aesthetic. He's done a similar thing with public services. So for example, banks, and the fact that the screen between the person behind the desk, is it the bank teller, and the person in front of it, like the removal of those screens to make it more kind of like a lounge area in Virgin Money, things like on trains, like having I'm trying to think what is, I can't remember everything now, but having lounges in airports and things like that. So little kind of minor things that then everybody in the kind of business picked up on it and replicated, which means that everybody kind of benefits from that, and everyone kind of benefits from those minor things. Like, you know, a lot of people have the philosophy of if it's not broke, don't fix it. But what you know, Richard Branson is kind of doing is he's kind of looking at things and going, oh, how could you make it incrementally better, like the marginal gain strategy to improve customer satisfaction. I think, if I remember rightly, the things on train platforms, so like telling you about like how long the train's going to be, was introduced by him, I think. And psychological studies show that that actually reduces anxiety when you're waiting for a train. Like if you know, and like in airports and things, when it says delayed is worse than if it says delayed by how much. Like if you know how long you're going to wait for it, you don't feel as anxious, you don't feel as worried. And so, you know, that's like a better strategy. But I might actually be thinking of another book. Yeah, I think I might be thinking of another book that actually talked about this, so maybe I'm wrong there, but like incremental things he kind of improved on. What I was also impressed with was that even though in the face of adversity, Branson always kind of comes out on top. So like there's all kind of like airlines trying to undercut him, like putting planes on that are losing money because then it's competition for Branson's Virgin, and then that will make him lose money overall because big companies can afford to lose some money, whereas Branson probably couldn't when he was first starting out. So I think he was talking about Virgin Blue in Australia. So it was, you know, interesting that he still kind of like won even in the face of kind of adversity and restrictions from government and bureaucratic tape and stuff. I was also impressed by how kind of like charismatic he is and how cheeky he is, and how it's because of him that you know, people have advertisements now that are a little bit more tongue-in-cheek and humorous like that. I think I'm about to run out of time. Yes, I am. I have like hardly any time left. So, oh, and the other thing that I really liked about it is that he looks after his staff. He puts them first, which I think people in business kind of neglect and don't realise that they're an important part of a business. And so I would definitely recommend this book to read because it was very, very interesting, inspirational and awe-inspiring. And it's philanthropic. I can't say that word as well. Oh my god, I've run out of time.